have Julie Tabor, Jeff, Chief Davidson, Brett Davidson, and Matt. Sorry, I just met Matt this morning. So, first of all, who had a nice Thanksgiving? Good. Who had turkey? Who didn't have turkey? I'm over turkey. I had some nice steak instead. It was lovely. So, we're going to come today to talk to you about CPR. Who knows what CPR stands for? Anybody? What does a C stand for? Good guess. Cardiac. Right? Keep going. Cardiac pulmonary. What's pulmonary mean? It's a fancy word for what? Your lungs. Alright, so heart and lungs. So cardiac is your heart, pulmonary is your lungs. Resuscitation? Breathe. Trying to bring it back, right? Okay. Who can tell me where your heart is? Good. Right in the middle of your chest, right? A lot of people think it's over the left side because that's where you put your hand when you're pledging allegiance, right? But it's right here in the center of your chest. You know why it's there? Because if you feel right here in the middle of your chest, you feel that hard bone? Feel that really hard bone right there? That's called your sternum. So that's when your big brother does this, in the middle of your chest, he doesn't hurt your heart. So it used to be called your breastbone, and it's like a plate that protects your heart. Your heart is directly underneath it. Okay? What does your heart do? It pumps blood throughout your entire body. What does the blood carry? Very important. Oxygen. What happens when your heart stops? Not always. But sometimes, right? So when you're correct. Number one, when your heart stops, that's considered a cardiac arrest. Okay? Different than a heart attack, which is just I have chest pain, and I don't feel so good, and I have something wrong with my heart, I need to go to the hospital. A heart attack is different than a cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest is my heart has stopped beating, and I am not responding to you when you ask me, am I okay? Okay, so those are two very different things. The heart attack, we're going to come, and we're going to take that person to the hospital, and we can take them to the OR, we can fix that. The cardiac arrest is different. If we don't fix it in the community before they get to the hospital, generally those people don't survive. So if I was to ask you, so now you understand what the cardiac arrest is. My heart stopped beating, I collapsed, I'm not responding. How many people do you think, in percentages, I know you love math, how many people do you think go home from the hospital after having a cardiac arrest? Guess. 15? Good guess? 1. 20?
17.
1. So it's about 5 to 8%. That means 95% of people who have a cardiac arrest don't ever go home afterwards. And it's important to understand that because it could be in your house, it could be somebody you know, it could be somebody that you want to wake up and go home afterwards, right? So we're teaching this to all of the middle schools and high schools in order to, because I have a 7th grader and he's in school today, and he teaches this and does this as well as I do it. So you are all perfectly capable of saving a life. And so we're going to teach you how to do that today in some really simple terms. Things you should know is you can't make this any worse. Nothing you're doing to this patient is going to make this patient any sicker. Okay? It's already in big trouble, and anything you do is going to help them make them better. If they're not having a cardiac arrest and they say, get off me, and we're all right to start off with, and you were doing a good thing by trying to help them out. So you don't need to worry about that. There is the number one thing I want you to do when somebody collapses, and we'll talk about this when we break up into groups, is if you go up to somebody and say, hey buddy, are you okay? Hey, are you okay? And they don't answer you, and they don't look like they're breathing, because not looking like you're breathing looks like this. That's different than just, because when you stop breathing, when you start to stop breathing, the very next thing is you're going to stop completely, okay? So the very first thing you do is what? Very first thing you do involves a telephone. Call what number? Right? Call 911, right? Very first thing you need to do is call 911 because we need to be on our way, but it takes us 3-4 minutes to get there, depending on where the nearest fire engine or ambulance is. And for every minute that nothing is done or no CPR is done, the chances of that person's waking up drops by 10%. So this is why it's so really important that you understand how to do this, because after 4 minutes of us driving over to get to where you are, how much less are your chances of survival? 4 minutes, 10% a minute, 40%. If there's traffic and we get there in 6 minutes, 60%. Those are really bad odds. Okay? So we really want you to do this so that you can keep their blood. And all you're doing, really, is by doing CPR, is that you are compressing their chest and you are circulating blood underneath. So your heart's right here, so you press down really hard on the chest and you pump down and you let go. And underneath your heart is squeezing and releasing and squeezing and releasing. What you're doing is you're moving the blood around the body. With every compression, you compress the heart. Every time you come off the chest, it opens up, and it's like a valve. It opens and closes. And so what you're doing is you're keeping the blood going. The most important place to keep the blood going to is your brain. Because even if we get there, we can shock a patient and we can get a pulse back, if they haven't had oxygen for 4, 5, 6 minutes, sometimes they don't wake up because they have some damage to their brain because of the lack of oxygen. So it's a big deal. This is a really important task to take, and we're going to give you some handouts to take home afterwards. And I want you to go home tonight and talk to your parents. And there are some really nice online videos they can watch to take like a minute, and all the links are on the handouts. And I want them to sit down and have a conversation with them about doing CPR and how easy it is. There's no liability. What's liability? You don't know what liability is? No, not money. We're not charging for this. We could though, no we couldn't. Liability, yeah. Right, so liability means that I had a CPR and you came to help me and I was annoyed that you helped me and so I sued you. Yeah. That can't happen. They're not allowed to sue afterwards because you're protected by a law that's called the Good Samaritan Law, so there's no liability. So if your parents are worried about, well, what if we shouldn't be doing this because I'm not sure, then you can tell them, no, Mary said, it's fine, you're good to go. The other thing too is that everybody we live in a world a little bit, unfortunately, that kind of says, not my problem, I don't know what to do, it's not my problem. But as I was saying to the staff here, if we all don't start helping other people and doing this for other people, when it's somebody you would like to survive or you would like to wake up and you're not there, hopefully there'll be someone there who goes that extra mile for your loved one. So if I'd be willing to do it and be taking it seriously, we grow a group of people who are willing to help other people, and then we can totally make a difference in someone's life. Okay? Do you have any questions? This is super easy to do, but we're all going to practice. And there are stickers. I know all about stickers. I have a 7th grader. So we're going to break up into groups. How many rows do we have here? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this first row, we can keep it separate into boys and girls. This first row is going to go here. Second row is going to go to the far mat. Third row. Fourth row.
To practice, but if somebody goes down, you're going to go up like Mary was saying and check, are you okay, are you okay? Really try to make it.
Alrighty.
Certified and decreases, if it takes us 5 minutes to get there, we already have a 50% chance of that person's
This is my barrier practice management.
So we're going to practice CPR, and I'm going to have somebody be in charge of stickers.
I'll be in charge.
Yeah. All right, and I'm going to be in charge of the clock. Who wants to be in charge of the clock for me?
David.
Okay, I'm going to give you my stop clock. All right. See? And everybody's going to do this for 2 minutes, which doesn't sound long, right? This is really hard work, okay? All these guys that you see around here, all these guys only do it for 2 minutes. We swap every 2 minutes so that we can continue to do a really, really strong job. So you're going to find this is a lot of work for 2 minutes, okay? But I want you to get a good feeling for how it feels so that you remember how it feels for other people, okay? Yeah, I'm fine, stop hitting me, then that's fine. If you look and you say, hey, I don't think they're breathing, remember I said the reason it used to be you had to be sure they weren't breathing, but that's just wasting time, and if they don't look like they're breathing, they're about to stop breathing here pretty soon, okay? So, remember we talked about this, the hard bone in the middle of your chest, right here, remember your sternum? That's where your hand goes. So you put one hand down and the other hand on top, okay? You lock your elbows. That's the secret, locking your elbows. And you lean over the person, and you just go,
Girls, come on in.
3, 4,
Julia, you guys come on
8.
in.
And you just keep going. And every time I go down, his heart flattens. And every time I come off, his heart comes up like this. Okay? So the blood that's in his body already when he collapsed, you're just moving that around. So all you're doing is kind of squeezing and releasing his heart. Sometimes that's enough to wake somebody up. But the other thing too is, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes the problem with the heart is it's an electrical problem. You've seen them shock people on TV, right? The reason you shock people is it resets, it's like jump starting your car. It resets that system. The heart is the most amazing organ in the fact that it has its own electricity system, completely separate to the rest of your body, and it's the biggest muscle in your, the longest beating, biggest muscle in your heart. It has all your life until you anymore, and then you can get started again. By the time you get started,